We are the invited guests of private property owners who live near Puna Geothermal Venture just outside of Leni Puna Gardens subdivision. And in their front yard, you can see at least 4 active fissures as a result of their panoramic view of the coastline. Right here, you're looking at what they believe to be fissure 20, which has been firing and active for hours now, slowly, carefully, deliberately building up a pahoehoe flow that has stacked up, creating that pu'u or cone, a crater vent of sort, as residents have described it. But as we pan across to show you just how active the situation is here along the lower east rift zone, you can see the river of molten lava, the magma that is just flowing across what used to be a forested area filled with albizia trees. And it is through that forested area in the distance now where you can see that white steam and smoke, that kicking up, spattering lava, and the remains of gray dark ash cloud now starting to rise. It was there about 45 minutes ago that we did see this particular fissure closest to the Leni Puna Gardens subdivision area claim at least one house. Now, it's in this same area where earlier today, as we watched that house come down, we heard from officials with Puna Geothermal Venture. They also lost one of their monitoring site structures, and that's why they have been keeping such a careful eye on the situation, which is so ever-changing here. Take a listen to what one of the area residents had to say about how dynamic the lava activity right here in her front yard has been.
I don't see any indication of it slowing down at any rate, no. This is fluid lava coming out. I mean, this is pahoehoe shooting up, and it's just flowing out and building up and building up and building up until she's solid. And it's mind-blowing. If it's loud enough, she runs away.
We also spoke with residents about the deafening, booming sound that they have listened to consistently for at least the last week since fissure 17 first opened up in their front yard off of Halekamahina Loop Road last week, Saturday. That has been certainly the longest lasting fissure, also one of the most dynamic. They have said that the sound has jolted them out of bed and just absolutely vibrated through their body and their sleep. That's how powerful these gas explosions have been. We have heard now in just the last half hour, several helicopters get up into the air. They are circling to assess the situation to try to determine how many people may be inside those 40 homes that they now believe are within an isolation zone, a perimeter that they had to create with help, of course, from Hawaii County firefighters, Hawaii County PD, and the National Guard, who were dispatched to ensure that there would be no exit or entry into the area, and that's because of how unsafe the conditions are. That's exactly why those helicopters overhead are trying to determine how many people could potentially need to be evacuated by air. And the area that we have seen them really focus on is just behind fissure 20, which has popped up here in this residential area outside of Puna Geothermal Venture, and again outside of Leni Puna Gardens. This is an area that we have seen be extremely active throughout the day today, including what we saw right around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Footage we can show you of one new fissure that popped up that very quickly claimed a house and at least one other structure. Overhead, what we can hear is that helicopter doing a very low flyover as they assess the situation here to determine what needs to be done, how many people potentially could be at risk as a result, again, of very fast moving lava that has crossed Pohoiki Road near Malamaki Place. Police, fire, National Guard all sent in to stop all entry on both sides of Poho'iki and to secure the area. We are told there are approximately 40 homes, again, within this isolation zone. What is unclear, though, is how many people may have been inside those houses at the time this alert went out. That's, of course, because it is Pauhana on a Friday. Unclear how many people would have already made it back into their neighborhoods. But if they can hear this warning message, Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency officials are asking us to let them know they are to shelter in place. Do not attempt to leave the area. They will get in touch. Please await further instruction. The situation out here is so unstable, so unpredictable and ever-changing that you absolutely have to be on your toes, which is exactly why Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency officials cautioning everyone tonight who lives within lava hazard zones 1 and 2 that the possibility of an eruption taking place anywhere along the lower East Rift Zone, given how much magma, how much lava they believe is being fed throughout this area, is something they want people to understand could happen immediately in terms of the possibility for an evacuation, as you heard, needed to take place today as a result of the lava crossing the road from Fisher 20, Poho'iki, near Malamaki Place. We understand that this is in an area of Lanipuna Gardens, right between Leilani Avenue and Hinalo Street. Now, the situation here, as you can see behind me, is extremely active. Right now, what you're looking at is what is believed to be one of the fissures that has slowed down in terms of forward progress with a lava flow, and instead, the Pohoihoi lava that has been rushing up out of the ground here has steadily and deliberately been stacking up, essentially creating a cone, a pu'u, what some residents have described as possibly the start of a new crater. And we have watched this take place as Earth has built up in front of us for the last several hours today since we have been here on the scene. We are the invited guest of a private property owner who resides near the Puna Geothermal Venture plant outside of the Lanipuna Gardens subdivision. And from the front yard of this home, we have been able to see 4 extremely active fissures firing throughout the day, each one of them displaying their own distinct lava characteristic. From the Pahoihoi flow, which you're now seeing is really starting to kick up here just in front of us, to the more dramatic display of a lava fountain that at some points today has reached heights of nearly 500 feet as it has spewed lava bombs into the air, roughly the size of refrigerators. That thunderous, booming sound of gas explosions has just ricocheted across this lava field, in part because of the mandatory evacuations that are in place that have certainly led to much quieter conditions here in the neighborhood. But residents say this sound that they've started to grow accustomed to during the day, that's it right there. It absolutely rattles them at night, and that's because there's really no way of knowing exactly how close some of these fissures may be developing or how much of that lava activity could be moving closer to them. When we spoke to area residents who live a mile away from, again, the thunderous noise that you're hearing as a result of the release of gas that is happening next to one of these extremely active fissures that has been tossing lava up 500 feet is the estimate since it really started kicking into gear about 2-3 days ago. What those residents tell us is that their homes a mile away shake whenever those violent gas explosions are really powerful. They say when they're lying in their beds at night, they can feel the vibrations through their body. Now, earlier today, the extent of the activity included us watching firsthand as a house went down, the result of a new fissure that opened up right within our view before our eyes. And you can see it here now, still very actively sputtering lava. In the hours since this first developed, what we can tell you is what started as a very distinct line of steam and smoke through an area that was once described as a very densely packed albizia forest is now completely clear. The landscape in this area, of course, has changed significantly over the last several days since this eruption happened here off of Hale Kamahina Loop Road with Fissure 17 and with the many other fissures that have broken out here since then. Aloha Keahi, Steph. What we have seen speed up certainly is how quickly the situation out here on the scene unfolds and changes. We've been out here for several hours now as invited guests of private property owners who have a lot near Puna Geothermal Venture just outside of Lenni Puna Gardens, and their front yard is this incredible panoramic view of 4 of the most active of the 22 fissures that have broken out here along the lower east rift zone. We have heard the booming explosions of gas vents opening up near an extraordinarily dynamic Fissure 19 that has sent a fountain of lava spewing upwards about 500 feet throughout the day consistently today, and also Fissure 20, where we have seen the development of Pahoehoe lava as it has made its way up to the surface and then very steadily but very deliberately piled upon itself, creating what appears to be a pu'u, a cone, what some residents in the area are referring to as the possibility of a new crater. That has just transformed in front of our eyes. We've seen it stack up more than 50 feet in the several hours that we've been out here today. And then we also witnessed what looks like the start of a new fissure. It's unclear whether or not USGS HVO officials have numbered or been aware of this new situation that has unfolded before us. But this fissure, we can tell you because we saw it ourselves, is responsible for claiming at least one house earlier today. That was around 4 o'clock this afternoon. When we first got here onto the scene just before noon, all this area was forested albizia trees, and we could see this line of steam, white smoke that was starting to make its way southwest toward the Lenni Puna Gardens subdivision. And then in the hours that have progressed since this incredible new fissure has broken out, and look at that spattering, spewing lava, certainly not as high as the fountain that has developed out of Fissure 19 that is responsible again for that deafening noise, similar to almost a military jet, multiple ones taking off all at the same time with their engines just rumbling. It is ricocheting across what has now been a lava field that has created inside an area that once was extremely densely forested, again, albizia trees. This is what the situation here on the ground is, and it changes so quickly, as I mentioned, that's exactly why Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency officials are asking everyone within lava hazard zones 1 and 2 to be prepared for the possibility of immediate evacuation, since they have no idea where the next fissure or eruption could potentially break out. Reporting live from just outside Lenni Puna Gardens, Mileka Lincoln, Hawaii News Now.
Mileka, real quick, it's a little frightening watching you out there. Are you not hot, and do you smell the fumes?
I thought you were going to ask if I smell, and I probably do because I've been standing out here for hours today. But here's what I can tell you. We are so far upwind, we are Mocha, and even though it looks like we are standing right on top of this incredible volcanic activity, as of course history is being made in front of our eyes here on Hawaii Island, we are an estimated about 500 yards away from this extraordinarily active fissure, Fissure 20. We're about a quarter of a mile away from that booming sound that you just heard, that thunderous roar that has been coming from that extraordinarily active lava fountain, which is believed to be Fissure 19. And we are in an area that is far upwind enough that you can't even smell the brush or the albizia trees burning, let alone an odor of sulfur in the air. Now, we did take all of the protective and precautionary measures that we have been asked to by civil defense officials. So we do have a helmet, we do have our respiratory masks on standby, but we are safe. For as close as it looks, we are good.